And welcome back to Blueshirts Buzz, where we talk everything New York Rangers. I'm your host, Matt Piscazzi, with my co-host John Horton. Definitely check out our Twitter at BlueBuzz26, and let's hop right into today's episode. So we had a couple games since last episode, so some good stuff to talk about, some bad stuff to talk about, some in-between stuff to talk about. That Sabres game I wish didn't exist because we obviously have to talk about that one. Before we hop into all of those wonderful topics, good things, bad things, the good, the bad, the ugly, all that stuff. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. Got my coffee, got a little Sunday here. Definitely not watching any of the New York Giants game in Germany. Can't wait. The Tank Bowl is on, and hopefully for the New York Rangers, the Tank Bowl is not on with them because we expect a lot from them this season, and we have been seeing some good, but lately
Mhm.
as well we have been seeing a sprinkle of a lot of bad.
A lot of
Um,
holes.
yeah, a lot of holes, particularly in the Sabres game.
Well, it's just funny
Yeah,
because of the real quick note of the Giants thing, they are losing 10-0 right now.
yeah, to the worst team in the league, which
I
means
because I was like, "Oh, they gotta be winning, right?" No.
which means now if they lose this game, they will officially be the worst team in the league, which is
I mean, at
fine with
least it
me.
gets you a
Whatever.
better draft pick probably, maybe, sorta.
Maybe sorta. What are you gonna do? But
Sorry about that. Back to the Sabres, continue.
yeah, of course. Yeah, so the Sabres game was a nightmare. Big pile of crap across the board.
Yeah.
Not just defensively, even offensively. Like nobody looked like they wanted to play hockey. Nobody looked like they were excited to go out there and try and get a win. I think they just got deflated very early. Igor got shredded for whatever reason. He had 12 shots. They let in 5 goals. He got pulled, and then Jonathan Quick went in and he got scored on too. So I think, I'm not trying to defend the Rangers' poor play in any way, but I think the Sabres really they just came out full bore. We got caught with our pants down. We got caught with little to no enthusiasm, and it just kind of, you know, it's not an excuse, but the way I look at games like this sometimes is like these guys are human. It's November. It's an 82 game season. I think they were getting blown out, and they were like, okay, like this sucks. Like let's try and
Mhm.
plug some holes, but this game's a wash, which I don't love. That's not a
Yeah.
championship caliber mentality, but
No.
it is what it is. A lot of teams have done that, and it's
Yeah.
frustrating as hell. And
Yeah, but
this
when you give
game
up
showed a
4
lot.
goals in the second, I mean, that's the game. You
Horrible. Yeah.
like, there's just nothing you can do at a certain point. Like, they're gonna
Yeah.
keep trying. Obviously, you have the third, but, like, what team is coming back from 5-0 down in the third?
Yeah.
It's
No,
just
it's just yeah, and then before that, which nothing has happened since, so maybe it was just fluff, but there was
mhm.
like some leak from a close source or whatever the hell that even means in the sports world, but that Igor would agree to basically the same contract, 8 years, but instead of 11 million, it'd be 11.5, and then he played that
Yeah.
game, so maybe they pulled it off the table, but
After that
no,
one, they're
but
like, "Ooh."
yeah, and then Laviolette sat him for the Detroit game and let
Mhm.
Jonathan Quick play, where he got a shutout, which was fantastic to see. He
That was
turned it
probably a
back the clock.
plan anyway, though, because I feel
Yeah,
like the way we played the Red Wings earlier in the season, like, we played them really well. We had already beat them twice, and that's a good rest spot for Igor, especially because, the big game coming up on Tuesday, so I that was probably the plan anyway, but it is kind of funny that, like, it comes out like, "Oh, Igor might get 11-5," and then just puts up a dud. I
whew,
mean, it's
a
of course, it's not all
stinker, a
not all his
stinker.
fault, of course. I mean, to be fair, like, we did not really do him any favors. I mean, like you had mentioned, just defensively terrible. And I know the big highlight there and, well, low light there that, has been really, really plaguing you, and I mean, a lot of us as fans here is just the lingering stuff is he is so obviously not playing full tilt right now. He cannot. He is I mean, first of all, wearing a full cage because of the jaw stuff, all that stuff we talk about, fighting in the preseason, everything. As if he's not already always hurt all the time. I mean, was trying to be hopeful after getting that 1-year deal done that, he's only going to miss like 5, 6, 7 games this year or whatever. But when you're playing the way he's playing and looking the way that he's looking on defense, there needs to be a serious conversation about putting this guy on some kind of injured reserve
Mhm.
and playing Mancini. I
Absolutely.
don't he's making really bad moves on defense. I
Yeah.
mean, and Lindgren was never like he was never the best positionally. I think he kind of made up for it with grit, toughness, stick checks, blocking, hitting, tough. Like he kind of made up with it in a lot of other ways. Like, it's not like he's always in like the perfect position. But the problem is now when he finds himself out of position, that's it. He's torched. He's toasted. He just doesn't have it. There's so obviously things that are plaguing him. I mean, obviously the jaw, but you got to figure there's probably a shoulder thing in there. There's probably a knee thing in there. I mean, what hasn't been plaguing this man for the years that we've had him here, right? And it's only kind of starting to stack on top of each other. And I think that honestly, this could be one of those Truba type situations where, like, we heard how after how many months, oh, my ankle and my wrist, like all this kind of stuff or
Yeah.
whatever. And it's
He's
like,
he's a warrior. He's a warrior. No, he's an idiot.
can we maybe just throw
He's
him
an
on
idiot.
LTIR for a little bit and,
Yeah.
and play Mancini or something? I mean, come
Yes.
on, at a certain
Please.
point, and like the pairs, like you said, have also been all over the place. I mean, I know we had talked a little bit about how the Miller Foxy pair was a little too offensively kind of focused, but their numbers were actually not too bad, defensive metrics, especially when you compare it to to Fox and Lindgren.
Yeah.
And there certainly needs to be a conversation about burying Truba in the third pair as well. Seeing
Please.
him still on that second pair where he's been wildly inconsistent to start the year. It's just, again, it's November. This is the time. At least it's happening right now in November, and we're not in
Yeah.
April talking about this. But these are some serious things that we have to start kind of figuring out. Because the way we look right now, really not overly convincing. I mean, we are a top 10 team in the league. Okay. Really doesn't
Yeah.
mean much. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean much when you put that in perspective. The fact that last time I checked, we were 4th in the Metro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which brings me to try and check that while I'm mentioning this. So I'm curious. I think the Caps won, so they're probably still ahead of us.
Yeah. Ovi's been scoring at a crazy
Yeah,
clip.
we're 4th in the Metro at 19 points.
Yeah.
I mean, that is no sustainable, like, that's no sustainable success. That is no consistency. I mean, obviously the other teams in the Metro right now, it's been a little bit more competitive than it was last year, but still a lot needs to be done on defense. A lot needs to be said about kind of the effort and the coordination we're seeing on defense. Again, it's
Yeah.
November, at least it's happening in November, but really disheartening stuff to be seeing and on a nightly basis.
Yeah, it is, and I trust Peter Laviolette a lot. I think he's a very incredible coach.
Mhm.
I see he's trying to force Lindgren in, like, this is a one-year deal, like,
Yeah.
he's been on this team for a while. It sucks. I defended him all summer to get signed, even with his injury
Yeah,
stuff,
me
and
too.
then
It's always,
how was
I
I
mean,
how was I
he's like
supposed
a
to know
heart
his
and
jaw
soul
was gonna
guy.
get
Like, you want
destroyed?
him on the team, but it's just like,
Yeah, it's just when he said he needs jaw surgery, and, like, he's still trying to
mm,
play through it, and Laviolette finally came out, one of the press conferences recently, and he was like, "Yeah, it's not good. Like, Lindgren's not playing well, this and that,"
mm,
but he still keeps throwing him in there, and we need some identity on defense, and jumbling these lines and
mm,
making players overthink what they're doing, and Miller overthinking certain things. And like Fox has been good too, but I want to see more from Fox. But I think part of the reason we haven't is because like he has a new line mate every other game, and like things are changing so much. And
mm,
um, it's just it's tough. So what I think moving forward, and I think you agree, we've talked about this off air, is like a Miller. So it'd be like Miller, Fox, and then it'd be Schneider, Mancini, or Schneider, Jones, and then it would be Jones or Mancini, Truba, just like something like that, and just keep
yeah,
it like that. Do not change it. Do not flip it around. Do not do any of this other nonsense. And I understand the jumbling of the first line too. Like Mika's been struggling, so Laviolette was like, all right, let me put um, Panarin and Lafreniere on the first line, and then let me move Will Cooley up to the second line. But it's like, don't touch that third line. That third line has been solid, but
mhm,
I don't think Laviolette is he's not a coach that just does things because he feels a pressure to. Like, we were getting outshot, the margins weren't good. I personally don't know how changing the lines does that. I think you just have to like focus on shooting more in possessions, not really jumbling the lines. And Mika's deterioration is very alarming and very upsetting. But I think we should try and keep like you said, this is the time to do it. This is the time to figure it out,
mm,
especially
yeah.
Tuesday's game against Winnipeg. Hopefully, I don't think we're gonna win, as much as I hate to say that, but I don't think we'll get blown out per se. But if we get
It
blown
seems to
out,
me like, honestly, like a Panthers kinda game where,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, just the way that Hellebuyck is playing, we're probably going to get, stopped at the doorstep 13 times in a row, and the guys are going to get deflated, and we're going to lose like 2-1 or something.
And I hate
I
that,
mean,
and I understand. Like, I understand to
yeah,
some extent getting deflated, but you just can't. You don't win a cup that way. You don't win a cup by you take 100 shots, maybe, they save 99 of them, and then you just give up. Like, no, you just gotta keep going at the
yeah,
doorstep. You just gotta like, the
yeah.
leadership group on this team is either the best I've ever seen or the worst. Like, that's the thing that I hate about the leadership group with the Rangers the last, like, 3 years is there's no middle ground. It's either awesome or just horrible.
Yeah, and you can tell when they're dejected too. It's
Yeah.
so obvious when the guys are like skating with their heads down and looking up at the sky and mumbling on the bench, and it's just like you know how to do better. You know
Mhm.
what to do. You've done it before. Why is it such a seesaw? I mean,
I know,
I
I
just don't
know.
understand. And you made a point about these last few years. That's the core. That's what it's been. It's been this seesaw of, oh my God, we're gonna give maximum effort, go all out, win 6-0, and then the next game, oh well, we just suck. I guess we just can't play defense and we can't skate and we're slow and we're making poor line changes and we can't win a faceoff, and now we're losing 4-1, and it's like, what? But, I mean, at
Mhm.
least the Red Wings game was a little bit more promising, and not perfect, but I think maybe before we get into that, if we do wanna get a word from our lovely sponsors in.
Yeah, take a little breather here to talk about
Yeah.
DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook, one of the wonderful sponsors today.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Excuse me, coffee is going right down my throat. Um, as we all know, the quest for the Stanley Cup is now. As we vent here with the New York Rangers, hopefully they can be at that doorstep. And my God, they need to shoot more if they want to get there. But it's the
Yeah.
official sports betting partner of the NHL, DraftKings Sportsbook. Super easy for first timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win by going to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. If you're new to DraftKings, listen up to this. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
And there's nothing like quite excuse me, there is nothing quite like the experience of a live NHL game. The chill of the ice, the sound of a big hit or a slap shot. Every year I go to as many games as possible. This year I can't wait to go to more, and with Game Time, that'll be easier than ever. Game Time has tickets for all sorts of live sporting and music events, not just the NHL. And with Game Time picks, you can get the best deal in the shortest time. Right now, there's a ton of deals on Game Time for you, your family, and your friends to check out. You can download the app and buy tickets right from your phone. Game Time has great features like panoramic seat views to make sure you love your seats before you get them, the Game Time lowest price guarantee, or their ticket coverage that provides the most flexible customer service policy in the industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time, baby.
Absolutely. And for our third and final sponsor here for today, Raycon Earbuds. So we all know Black Friday, Cyber Monday is coming down the pike soon, and there's nothing quite better than getting an amazing deal that you wouldn't normally get, except with Raycon, because with Raycon you can get an amazing deal on premium audio every day of the year. That doesn't mean they're not having any sales for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Far from it, they're actually doubling down on their amazing value by offering viewers up to 30% site-wide. A Black Friday Cyber Monday deal you'll appreciate every day at Raycon's Everyday Earbuds, especially if you haven't checked out their latest model, which includes plenty of new features that make them even more of a must-have for any audio lover. For example, they now feature 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity that lets you pair with two devices at once. Raycon's Everyday Earbuds also come with active noise cancellation. It's a feature that is a must-have, especially for me, at work or whenever I'm out and about, just trying to get some stuff done, maybe some stuff in the yard, whatever it may be. Because although Raycon's quality rivals some of the biggest names in premium audio, Raycon starts at just half the price as all the other competitors. So they're already on an incredible deal, even before you factor in Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. Offers are up to 30% off site wide. Raycon's everyday earbuds are also available in a variety of vibrant colors, so you don't have to just have the standard issue white or black earbuds sticking into your ears all day, every day. Now is the perfect time to scoop them up, even if you haven't already. And don't worry, if you're not as impressed as I am, Raycon offers a 30-day happiness guarantee, so you really can't lose. So it's time to save big on for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Go to buyraycon.com/THPN today, and you can get up to 30% off site wide. That's right. Again, 30% by going to raycons.com/buyraycon.com/THPN. I think you will be excited and appreciate it.
Absolutely, and thank you to all of our lovely sponsors again. We always appreciate all the opportunities to get those wonderful ad reads to you guys and opportunities and deals and everything like that. And so, like I had kind of segued in beforehand, obviously the win at the Red Wings looks really nice. It's a 4-0 shutout. Quick was insane. He's 3-0 on the season. Like on paper, when you look at that, like that sounds great, right? Well, if you watch the game, you know we had no business winning that game. Literally, the second period was like a shooting gallery for the Red Wings. I mean, if I had
Mhm.
$1 for every time they had 3 or 4 guys passing the puck back and forth, creating chances from the circle down. It's not like we were even keeping them close to the blue line. They were cycling the puck, like 30 feet from quick. And it's just like, whoa, where is the defense? There was no coverage,
Mhm.
no unity. I mean, the guys look like they were skating with their like chickens with their head cut off. And then we get into the third period where we're winning, right? That's the time to like batten down the hatches. No. What do you think our defense? What do you think our D guys doing and our forwards are doing? Pinching the zone. We gave up so many odd man rushes because we have all 3 forwards, down at the freaking line behind the net. Oh no, we lost the puck, and then they're on a breakout, and Patty Kane's got it, and DeBrinket's got it, and Larkin's got it, and Raymond's got it, and they're taking pot shots on Quick like that literally. I mean,
Mhm.
they
37 saves.
dude,
Crazy.
Sam and Joe were talking about it like going at the end of the second. Sam was literally like, "Well, the Rangers won the period, but they had no business." Like, and
Yeah.
it's like you can't even argue with him. I mean, it was
No. No, yeah.
embarrassing. And
Yeah.
then like they talked to VC in the second period intermission, and they were like, "Well, you guys like look at like how you played and the fact that you really got outplayed there. Like, what are you looking at that you need to change?" And he was like, "Well, yeah, you're on the road and you look down, you have a win, so that's pretty nice." And it's like, so you guys aren't in the locker room concerned about the fact that you should be losing by like 10 right now? I
Mhm.
mean, that's not a conversation you're having in the locker room. I mean, you don't want to. I mean, I know it's like in the in between period, kind of they get these people on the spot. They're sweaty, they're hot, they're tired, they're
Right,
like out
right,
of breath.
yeah.
Like I get it,
Yeah.
but like that's the mentality of this team, right there. If you need a picture of it, oh, we're winning on the road, cool. And it's like you kind of got to play a little bit harder. You kind of got to strive a little bit more and take that next step. I was just really not overly convinced, and that's kind of the story with this team all season is just not being overly convinced. There
Mhm.
were a few games in the beginning of the year where we were kind of really happy, felt like we were seeing things click, stuff was kind of coming together. Really haven't seen a lot of that recently. It's been pretty inconsistent. Even when we're winning games, it's not convincingly. A lot of hiccups, a lot of defensive mistakes, and doesn't matter if it's Igor or Quick, we have won and died by the goaltender. And this is something that we've done as a franchise for far too long, and we are not going to win a cup if this is the way that we carry this play throughout the year. Again, it is November. I'm not going to panic, but I am getting frustrated. It is very dejecting seeing this happening, right? And I understand the defensive shuffle. I understand that we're a little bit out of whack, but we still have this there's the same system on every pair, right, that we're running.
Yeah.
It's not like we're
Yeah.
changing anything about that system, and it's the fundamental things as well. You don't need to be behind the net when there's already 3 forwards down there and, there's 2 guys ready to break out. I mean, it's just it's simple fundamental hockey. Like, you are the defenseman, hold your point. If you wanna push the play, make the forwards gotta roll behind you. Well, no, they're not covering, and they can't cover you because 'cause they're over there in the corner fighting for a puck. When you see
Yep.
that, hold tight. But you know what they're doing? They're like, "No, let me get involved. Whoa, let me go in there like a bowling ball." And it's like, what happens? Then the other team ends up with the puck and they're driving it up the other way. And we're giving up a 2-on-1, a 3-on-2, a 4-on-1, a 4-on-2. I mean, this is not sustainable. Very frustrating to watch. And it just doesn't really give me a lot of hope going into the Jets game.
Yeah. No, that was an absolutely fantastic spiel, and the number one defenseman guilty of that is Miller, and he's been very
Mhm.
frustrating to watch play like that. I mean, because he's not dumb, and they're doing dumb things like that.
Yep.
And to your point, like Yeah, that game, there wasn't a single time in any of the periods where the Rangers outshot the Red Wings. They were tied in the third, 10 on 10, but the second period alone, the Red Wings had 19 shots and the Rangers had 8. That's crazy, and
Yeah.
that has been a concern of Laviolette's, this season, which is why he started jumbling the lines up, which, again, I'm not the biggest fan of. I understand sometimes it makes sense, but
Mhm.
I think each line should have its own identity, and I think that's what our strengths were last year, especially now with a healthy third line in Chytil and
Yeah.
Kakko. I think they need to stay together. I think the second line with Trocheck, Panarin, and Lafreniere need to stay together, and the first line is just Mika Zibanejad just needs to stop playing like an 85-year-old decrepit man on skates. It's very frustrating. It's very upsetting. It was our episode to start this season for like our biggest concern was that, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunately kind of shining through, and it's not fun. And I think, yeah, I think there just needs to be some type of like maybe there should be like a 5 to 10 game stretch where like Laviolette gets some lines and he just doesn't change them just to see what happens. And if we're getting outshot
Mhm.
still, if we're getting caught with their pants down, if our margins are horrible, then it's another conversation to have. But like the thing is with this core, like we've talked about, like they just get so dejected, so deflated, and we've seen 3 different coaches, you know, have varying success with trying to get the team motivated. I think Laviolette has had the most success because he keeps people accountable. He had Mika crying to the media a couple weeks ago, which was very shocking to see. I didn't think
Yeah.
Mika would ever do that. So I thought that was good. And we've said it many times, like, knock on wood here, but like if things don't work out well for this season, you just got to retool the core because it's just the core's problem. Like the core just it's just tough, and the main issue with that is Mika, and he has one of the most immovable contracts I've ever seen in my entire life. And the only way to get rid of him would be to, I think we were talking about this off air as well. Like you bury him in a third line, reduce his minutes, make him kind of hate where he is, pull him into the office and be like, "Hey, we want to trade you. Like we don't want you on
Yeah.
this team anymore." And if he plays hardball, then either you stick with him or you buy him out. And you really don't want to buy him out because he has until 2030, which is insane,
Yeah.
and it's 8.5 million. And for people who don't know how the buyout works, it's whatever term. So if he has 5 years left, I don't understand why. I guess the reason it works this way for the NHLPA is to deter organizations from buying a player out.
Mhm.
But whenever you buy a player out, their term doubles for what you have to pay them for. So if he has 5 years left, it'll be 10 years. The Rangers have to pay a dead cap to
Yeah.
Mika Zibanejad, and then the percentage of what you owe them varies. I think it goes after that 5 years of the contract. So if he's making 8.5 for 5 more years, we buy him out tomorrow. Um, First 5 years, it's the 8.5 dead cap, which blows. And
Yeah.
then the next 5 years, I'm pretty sure it's like a reduced amount, but it's still
But
a lot
still,
of
I mean,
money.
that's
Yeah.
millions hitting our cap, and
Right.
it's nuts
For
that we've been
nothing. Yeah.
yeah, and
There's
it's
no
nuts that
initial
we've been
cost.
having this conversation, but that's
Yeah.
just where Mika's at right now. I mean, I highly doubt that we see any kind of buyout situation burying him in the bottom kind of thing, but that realistically, it's just not there's not a lot of hope when you watch him play, and the fact that we're having this conversation, the fact that we're seeing him kind of taking those steps back. I mean, I think in the Red Wings game, there were some points where he actually had looked pretty good. I mean, he made a really nice pass to Panarin on that one short side snipe.
Yeah.
Like, he shows those plays here and there. He does have 11 points on the season, but then you look at it and it's 2 goals. That's where it's like, okay, you're getting a few points here and there, but realistically, you're making your money by making plays and having other people kind of finish the play ultimately,
Yeah.
and that's really not sustainable, especially when you're supposed to be the slap shot on the power play kind of guy. When's the last time we've seen him hit the net on a slap shot on the point at the power play, by the way?
Many moons
And
ago.
I mean,
Yeah.
how? How? Obviously, teams pick up on kind of what you're going to do, but then you have to work as a unit and find out ways to get that guy free. And when we
Mhm.
had so much consistent success running that slapper, from the top of the circle on our power play, and then well, if the play's not there, he can shot past to Kreider, he can get it back up to Panarin, he can get it back up to Fox, like in the slot to the Trocheck. I mean, there were so many options you couldn't shut him down. uh, it's he's been shut down for like over a year now here, where we were talking about this towards at the end of last year. We were talking about this through the playoffs, and we're talking about it again. It's quite frankly just jarring. It's confusing. It's upsetting. I don't understand it. when you were, consistently making those plays, especially on the power play. You literally was a power play merchant, made most of his living on the power play.
Mhm.
And where's that? Where's that gone? Because it's clearly not there anymore. So, I don't want to kind of take the boat off the Mika land here. I don't know what kind of analogy I was trying to make.
I
I
liked
I
it though.
I don't
I
want the
liked
bus
it.
to leave the station yet, I guess is what I'm saying here. Like, I don't wanna be completely out on Mika.
Yeah, I agree.
It
I
it
agree.
is still November. It's still only 13 games into the year here, but it's just you're seeing these things, we're seeing patterns, we're seeing the same things over and over again. We're talking about the same things over and over again, and that's when it gets concerning because if these are trends that continue throughout the year, some of these trends certainly don't seem sustainable, especially if you want to be a winning hockey team, especially if you want to win in the Metro, and especially if
Mhm.
we want to take a run at the cup. We really shouldn't be having these conversations. So we'll kind of see what that ends up with. Not overly hopeful, but trying not to completely lose faith in Mika at this point.
Yeah.
But realistically, as a team here, just to I guess kind of put a bow on my thoughts here and pass to you if you want to kind of give your bow on all our stuff here. But like we were saying earlier, the D pairs we need to kind of solidify something here. I think we need to kind of. I know Laviolette was like looking for a spark at 5v5, moving the lines up and down and everything like that. I think it's getting a little closer to the point where we need to start kind of solidifying some of those things and letting these guys get some chemistry. I get trying to find a spark. I get trying to put some energy into some guys and some motivation. But when you're playing with a different guy on your left or a different guy on your right every other game, where's the consistency? And that's been an issue for us is consistency. So you can't expect these guys to consistently perform and make those plays and have that kind of chemistry, on a nightly basis when there's no consistency in who they're playing with, when they're playing with them, and why they're playing with them.
Mhm.
I mean, at a certain point, you kind of have to look in the mirror and be like, yeah, I get it, right? Like let's figure this out. So
Absolutely.
just again, not overly promising, not overly convincing. I really need to see more from this team. It sounds funny to say that. I mean, we're 9-3-1. It's not like we're in the bottom of the league. We are technically like a top 10 team. We're right
Yeah.
around that top 10
Doesn't feel like it
points
though.
wise. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. That's why we're having these conversations. And I'm sure that you're not too far off in your headspace and line of thinking here as well.
Yeah, no, my finalized thoughts on this are right now with the schedule, it's the calm before the storm. When you're listening to this, this week we'll have the Jets and the Sharks. And then after that, it's a game every other day. It's Seattle, day off, Vancouver, day off, Flames, day off, Oilers, day off, Blues, day off, Hurricane, day off, and then a back to back with the Flyers and the Canadians.
Yeah.
So now is the time to solidify those lines. Now is the time to put your heads together. Now is the time for the leadership group to stand up because this is a crazy stretch. Like our schedule's been very um it's been very on and off for whatever reason.
It's
I
like
don't
a
know why
stop
the
and go,
schedule.
which
It's
is
yeah,
weird.
it's very weird. This is a crazy stretch. So this is gonna be this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 10 games. So I would like to see
Mm,
7-3 minimum in those 10 games. I wanna see that, right? Again, it's November, right? So, things can change. You've
mm,
seen teams that start hot and then completely miss the playoffs. You've seen teams like the Oilers last year, who I think lost 14 games to start the season, and they went all the way to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals.
yeah.
So it's not doom and gloom, but it's good to be critical. It's good to point certain things out. And nobody's more critical than the coaching staff. They know what the problems are. They know what they're trying to fix. The players can be hard on themselves all they want, but if they don't fix their mistakes, then what's the point? So
Yeah.
this is the calm before the storm. We got a lot of episodes coming with this, and there's just going to be a lot that they need to power through because November and December. December has a ton of back-to-back games too. So
Yeah.
these next 2 months are going to really prove what this team can do moving forward. I'm hopeful, but until I see certain things change and maybe Ryan Lindgren like throwing on LTIR, please, I'm not going to be more hopeful than I am. So
Mm.
yeah.
No, it's fair, and I like that point you brought up about that 10-game stretch, and after that 10-game stretch, that's when we'll be post 20 games. That's when you kinda start looking at
Yeah.
teams and saying, "Th this is what you're, expect to see from them." I mean, that's that quarter of the mark of the season where you kind of you know what a team is functioning, you know how a team is functioning, you know how they're running. You really can kinda start making some judgments about how that team is playing and how they're probably gonna look for the rest of the year. so far not so promising. So, like you had kind of laid out there, we do need to see more. Not all doom and gloom, but yeah, I guess I'll start rolling us out of here unless you had any last minute thoughts.
That sounds good with me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for another great episode here. Wish we could be a little bit more positive and excited. Again, we're still it is not all doom and gloom, but it's concerning, and we're seeing concerning patterns, and we're seeing negative trends, and that's where it raises that red flag, and that's why it gets us on here kind of complaining about this stuff, and John about this stuff. Ultimately, this is still a very good hockey team with a lot of very good players. There are a lot of reasons to be hopeful and a lot of things to look forward to. So try and end on a little bit of a positive note, and kind of get excited here. We do have some really big games coming up. But also with that schedule, as crazy it is, it's kind of nice. We have a lot of hockey to watch, a lot of things to talk about. So definitely stay tuned. We'll be bringing you guys plenty of content. Check out the Twitter, BlueBuzz26 as well. Check out our wonderful sponsors, DraftKings, Game Time, Raycon. Take advantage of those opportunities. THPN code, THPN website, all that fun stuff. But yeah, thank you all for another awesome episode here. It's the last you'll hear me on this one, and John's gonna close this out.
Matt said it best as always. Be sure to check us out, BlueBuzz26 on socials. We're active there all the time. If you enjoyed this episode, please tell your friends, family, loved ones about it. We really appreciate all the love and support. Catch us out every single week. Rangers are a good team. They could be better. Hopefully not worse. We're gonna keep bringing it to you. Keep buying the tickets. Keep watching the games. Keep telling your friends about it. It's time to get excited. Big stretch coming here. So we will hope for the best, but always be critical for good reason. So thank you again for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.